Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining Iwineti Africa today. And in case you've not subscribed to our channel, we would like you to go ahead and do that right away and share with your friends. Today, we're going to be talking to 3 emerging entrepreneurs who are making something locally, Nigeria, Ghana. They're going to be telling us why we should believe that what they are making makes sense, should go global, should be patronized by Africans and non-Africans alike. I want you to stay with me, and I'll be back in the next 30 seconds. All right, we're back, and it's great to see 3 amazing entrepreneurs in the studios today. I'm going to ask them to share with us who they are, what they do, why they do it, and then we'll go into a conversation around locally made. So the topic today is why locally made? Why should we patronize? Why should we produce? Why should we procure? Why should we consume locally made products? I'm going to dig into that conversation today. So first of all, I'm going to turn to Birago Tanoh. I'm just going to ask her, go ahead, introduce yourself, what you do, why you do it, and why we should pay attention. Go ahead. Okay, I'm going to unmute you. Yeah, please go ahead again.
Yeah, I'm Birago Tanoh, and I am a multidisciplinary artist, and I do bespoke artworks, and I transform living spaces as well. And I think I do what I do because it's a passion. It's something that I promote. As we are speaking today, we are talking about going local, and that's the more reason why I do what I do. Because I believe as Africans, we should go local because it's going to help us a lot. And I think we are going to delve into that later on. So that's what I'll say for now.
Awesome. Great to have you here, Birago Tanoh. I always call Birago Millicent, but I think Birago Tanoh is also an amazing brand name. The name is also locally made in Ghana, right? Yeah. She does amazing work. She's been doing for a long time. And the board you see behind me was actually made by her, in case you didn't know that already. All right, I'm going to switch to Tobi to tell us who you are, what you do, and why we should pay attention. All right, so we'd like you to please unmute. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, we're good.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Good day, everyone. I am Tobi Akins, and I'm the creative director at ToBeads Creation. So I started ToBeads Creation as a passion, and from my love for Africa and locally made products, actually. So I just love to design things that people wear and makes them look better, makes them stand out. So my passion for fashion and beads, actually, that's what drove me into ToBeads Creation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And if you notice, Tobi is wearing one of those amazing beads that she makes. Yeah. And you probably are going to hear a new term today, beadification. So she beadifies people. Yeah, yes. She beadifies. And if you're out there and you want to learn more about Tobi or Birago, you're happy to connect with them on Facebook, you can easily find them or through the Strategy Club. I have another amazing gentleman in the audience, in the studio today. First of all, let me say that we're also expecting Victor to join us very soon. We have another amazing gentleman in the studio, Elvis Boateng. Elvis, I'm going to be handing over this hat to Elvis very soon. Not in literal terms, but he's going to be anchoring Iwineti Africa from the next edition. And so I want you to give him all the support. He's amazing. You'll find out he's more exciting than myself. I'm very, very too serious. So you find out he can dance, he can do amazing things. So we are looking forward to him taking over the show very soon. Victor will also be joining us shortly from Victor Bassey. So let me give Elvis the floor to say a few words so they can hear his diction and his voice. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I think the first thing I want to say is a very big thank you to Mr. Kenneth for the kind words. And I must say that I'm also super excited to be here. What really gladdens my heart is the fact that we are talking with amazing people on this talk show, if I could use that expression, and I'm in a very good position to be excited, right? It's not just saying that, okay, just wearing the smile, right? But like having amazing people, on the show today is definitely exciting. I'm also looking forward to the content that's going to come out from these conversations that we're going to have. I'm very glad to be here, and thanks a lot, Mr. Kenneth, for this platform.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's great to hear your voice. I see that we have an audience that has joined already, and I'd like to beautifully recognize them. Thank you, Dixon Etufok, for joining. Dixon says, greetings, great people. My name is Dixon Etufok Akpan from Atan, Ota, Ogun State. Yeah. Nice to be here to learn from the professionals. So Dixon is joining us from Nigeria, and he is also happy to be here. I see Adebanjo Matthew Kolade is joining us from Nigeria as well. Thank you so much for joining. I see Uche Ipu, the finance coach and the business coach. He's watching from Ghana. And I see Udems Chooks also watching from Nigeria. Thank you very much, everyone who's joining. Feel free to air your voice, to add your voice to the conversation. It's about us. It's about the future of our continent. It's about the future of our businesses as emerging entrepreneurs. We're going to dive right into it. Just as we were diving into it, Victor joined us in the studio. So let me also let Victor to introduce himself. Yeah, good evening, Victor. How are you? Please let us know who you are, what you do, and why we should care.
Okay. My name is Victor Bassey, creative director of Victor Bassi Arts Place. I'm an artist and a fashion designer. I do visual arts, fashion design, fashion illustration, the creative side of fashion, and I'm also a fashion consultant.
Awesome. So that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for joining in. Victor had to surmount Lagos traffic. Yeah, hi everyone. Hi, he's saying hi. Victor had to surmount Lagos traffic to get into this conversation today. And those are the realities. Those are some of the realities that we have to, face in as emerging entrepreneurs to come out to bootstrap ourselves. And we are all for bootstrapping because, like we say, nobody is coming to save us from outside our continent. We have to pull ourselves up, and sometimes we have to pull ourselves together. Right. Great to have you all on Iwineti Africa. All right, I'm going to dive into the conversation again. Like I always do, I try to start with ladies first. The question that we want to ask ourselves first today is, why did you choose to become an entrepreneur in a place such as Africa? Why didn't you take an easier route? Or did you imagine that this route was an easy route? What was going on in your mind when you decided, I'm going to run my own business? And I'm talking to all of us in the studio, whether or not entrepreneurship for you is a side hustle. I mean, for some of us, we could have just had our jobs, feed our families in quietness rather than being all out there trying to make money elsewhere in some other way. So I want you to share your story a bit. Why did you choose to become an entrepreneur in Africa, in your country, in your terrain? Let me start from Tobi Akins. Why?
Okay, so like I said earlier, I it started as a passion. I didn't really know it was going to turn into a business. It started as a passion, and I found out, okay, a few persons started telling me, okay, instead of just doing these things for free and peanuts and all, why don't you just go into the business? And I felt, well, that's true. So that's how I took it seriously. Because when I started, I didn't take it too seriously. I was just doing it, for a few friends. I create designs and I give them to friends and family. So a few persons just saw everything I've been doing and then told me that I could actually make this into a business, and I was like, that's true, because every now and then I just keep coming up with new designs, new styles created by myself. So that was how I started. And
Awesome.
then
So you are inspired by friends to start
yes,
that
friends
this
and
could be a business. Good. Awesome.
and
Awesome.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yes. So after that, I discovered it's not really easy doing business in Nigeria. It's not.
Mm,
But I've been I've just been determined to make it work. And I've
mm.
gotten encouragements from here and there. So the same people, friends and family that encouraged me to start, they've been there, patronizing, and of course, also recommending me to other people. So that's little by little, that's how the business grew, and we've been able to keep things afloat.
All right, great.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. She made the discovery that it's not as easy as her friends made it look, right? When the friends tell you go into business, they're not saying we're coming with you. They're just saying go by yourself and we'll be cheering from the side. So she discovered new things the moment that she got into business. So Brago, let's hear from you. What made you go into turn your talent into a business? What called into that? So yeah, go ahead. Please unmute.
Okay. My Mine is not very different from what Toby just said. It started as a passion, and I quite remember I used to do a lot of my artworks for fun and also for friends. When I think I like you, I'll just do something for you. I'll pass it and I'll say, just have it. But then as time went on, the challenges of life and where we find ourselves. I quite remember I once my first little place that I ever rented. I tried with a little budget. I transformed the space and I took a picture of it. And then friends saw it and they were like, Millicent, did you take this from a magazine? Then I said, no, I didn't take this from a magazine. It's something I've done. It's a space, my living room I have transformed. They said, wow. So then how did I start? Actually, I said, okay, I need to um, try and turn this into a business if they find it very good then. So then I started by doing it free for friends. And then with time, I built my client base. And with me, because I'm multidisciplinary, I have also evolved. So you can see me do a lot of things. And I felt finding ourselves within the space in which we find ourselves as Africans, there are a lot of raw materials around us. They are the best. We are so fortunate to have a lot of raw materials around us, but we don't utilize these raw materials. We take it for granted. We import a lot of things, and then the outside, well, the Europeans actually patronize what we have, and we patronize what they have. But what we have is more quality than what they give us. That is very interesting. So I said, no, let me, in my own small way, try to change the narrative. It doesn't make sense at all. So then that is how I started. And it's a burning passion within me. And so you see me do a lot of things using locally acquired raw materials around me. And so that is how I started.
Awesome. Thank
And
you
I've
so
and I've
much.
also gotten the support from friends and family as well.
Awesome. That's great. And Braga will tell us her story. I remember one of the stories that Braga told us about. We shared an opportunity on the platform. She went for that opportunity, showed her work, and the guys were doubting that it actually came. It was like, did you do this yourself, or you bought it from China and you want to use it to get funding?
And they actually called you to confirm whether it's true. I did it, or it was gotten, because they didn't believe I used my hands to do those works. That's it. That's true.
Awesome.
And you have to confirm. Yeah.
Quality is there. Awesome. Thank you. So let's switch over to Victor Bassey. What moved you into this space? You can unmute, please.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, go ahead.
Mine was rather a sense of problem solving. That's what helped me get into my line of business and entrepreneurship. You know, as a child, I've always loved good clothing. I've always loved looking good. I've always cherished people looking radiant, classy. And then following my mom to the tailor's place, when I give them things, when she asked, when she wants to make clothes, she tells the tailor, okay, what would you like? Even as a child in the primary elementary school, I could describe for the tailors and tell them, this and this, that this is what I want. And they'll be wondering, this young boy, what do you know? Some of them will even try to talk me down and this thing. I would just pick up a pen and paper in front of them. They make sketches of clothes, and they'll be amazed and like, this guy could make these things. After making those sketches, you see that they still don't interpret it the way I would like it, even in my own imagination. In my head, I've already pictured how the finished outfits will be, because I've always been an artist. I was born an artist, although I still trained and furthered in a higher institution. So, you know, after a while, when I got into secondary school, I just decided that instead of waiting for these people to make these clothes for me, let me even try to see how I can learn it, how to learn what it took. And then, you know, that helped me to delve into fashion designing from the art aspect of it that I know. And then, you know, after making some clothes, I now discovered that there is more to fashion than what the eye meets. It goes beyond just tailoring, sitting on the machine. I started studying, okay, what and what could be is attainable in the fashion world. You know, I now found out that, there are a lot of branches of fashion, from pattern making to fashion illustration to garment sourcing to visualizing, conceptualizing to marketing, advertising. So, you know, that made me to want to understand what the business is about. And then, but after I got into our institution, I now discovered that, okay, I saw different prints. I've always loved urban wear. So I saw different prints and I wondered how I could do it. I now checked online. You know, back then, the internet wasn't something that was readily available in Nigeria. You have to go to the business center, pay for time and get internet. So I browsed, checked about how they do it, checked about, okay, I tried to use house paints to paint on fabric. And after washing, it comes off. That's when I now decided to check online, check what they are using in the Western world. And, you know, that helped me to discover paints that I can use on fabric that doesn't come off. So all of that I now put together and said, okay, I am ready to run. And I want to start off a business. That is how my journey into entrepreneurship began. But, you know, the challenges and the factors of production are also affected. After a while, I said, okay, let me see if I could do work and do a 9 to 5 and see if I could still fund. But I discovered I got several offers. If I sit in the office for 1 month, 2 months, I just find myself, I wasn't feeling fulfilled. The pay wasn't even the issue. I got even different offers from banks. Back then, banks were ready to employ any graduate, whether you are not a graduate of biz admin or accounting. They just want to employ you because, okay. So the different offers came. My parents, my mom had the pressure of, your mates are working, you're here telling me what to do entrepreneurship. Back then, art wasn't something that was encouraged in Africa. People see artists as some roadside artists that you do paintings, stay under the sun and wait for people to buy. Some people would buy one painting in a year. How do you intend to raise a family on that? You know, but I used all those as paving stones to help me to build myself and then to also prove that entrepreneurship can work in Africa. What people see as Africa the Black Africa where everything is primitive and this thing. But we have a lot of raw materials, like Mrs. Brago said. We have a lot of things. If you source for materials from Africa, yeah, there is a lot that you can do. That's why even the Western world is fascinated by what we do. You know, so that is those are some of the things. The challenges helped me and served as a paving stone for what I do.
Awesome. That's
So
beautiful.
that's how my journey
I think
started.
that's beautiful. I think you've shown us that entrepreneurship itself is a learning journey, and
Yes,
it
it is.
appears that the arts were born in you, and you
Yes.
you are now taking it into business what your talent actually is. All right, we'll delve into that more. So I'm going to let everyone take a breather, and I'm just going to publish a very short invitation to everyone in the audience. First of all, let me acknowledge Techford NG, who says, great insight to personal growth, and he is watching from Benin. Thank you for those who are joining us online. Please share the link with your friends and introduce yourself in a way that will make us want to find out more about you. All right, we'll be back in a jiffy. All right, welcome back. And this is Iwineti Africa. We're talking about why go local. And in the last section, the entrepreneurs I'm talking with today have introduced themselves, shared with us a bit about their journey. We're going to dive into the conversation right now about why we think everyone should be supporting, procuring, consuming locally made products. All right, I have another question for us to discuss right now. I'm going to distribute this question in a sense. Essentially, we're going to look at your history in the last 3 years as a business owner. We want to talk about your challenges in the context of getting your products out there, in the context of having, for example, the government approve your product for sale, assuming it's something that requires approval. In the context of preparing your products for export, assuming that you've had to ship your product outside the country before. Impact of inflation, exchange rates, the demand for your products. Do people appreciate the quality of your product? Do people appreciate the kind of work you're doing in it? So I'm going to turn back to Birago to start first on that one. In the last 3 years, just recently, share your experience in these areas. What are the key challenges in the context of pushing locally made products in your context? So I'm going to unmute. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so the challenges are several. They are quite several. I will start with visibility. From the beginning was a problem, and coach, that's why I even joined your session, because visibility was a challenge, and then finance in our space is another big challenge as well. And then there's another challenge with growth. Because of visibility, there's another challenge with growth, and sometimes raw materials as well, depending on whatever you are doing. So these are some of the challenges that I have faced in the past. But gradually, because it's a learning process, you learn, you ask questions, you find out, you become curious, you find out what can be done to solve some of these questions. And so in the past 3 years, it has been a gradual journey, but there has been a steady growth, actually. So it hasn't been bad, but
do you have like examples of experiences you'd like to share in the context of these?
Okay, so when it comes to visibility, for example, I had to join you, coach your class. Why? Because I happen to be a very versatile and dynamic artist, and I do a lot of stuff. I had my client base, but I felt there are people who were around me who needed my service but didn't really know Millicent or Birago was offering this service. And that was a big challenge. I realized it was just a few people, and I didn't know how to go out there to market myself because I wasn't a social media person as well until I joined the strategic club, and then I had to learn a lot. You helped me to join, to be on LinkedIn, my Facebook, what a lot of things, and that was a big challenge actually. And then having joined the class, that is how I was able to actually come out of my shell because I realized that there were a lot of people around me who really needed me, but then were looking elsewhere, and that was a big challenge. But now, as I speak to you now, people know who Birago Studio is at least, and then when they need me, it's easier to find me. When you go onto social media, you can just find me, and so that's a challenge. And then when it comes to finance, in our space, it's not easy finding when you want to sort of expand. It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. Few banks will support you to expand. You have to find other ways of expanding. And personally, I had to do expansion myself because the interest rate on whatever the loans you would have to go to take is not easy. That's a big and a huge challenge, actually. Um, I, I have bigger dreams for Birago Studios and Art Gallery, but because of financial constraints, I am still working on it and I've not gotten there yet. That is a big challenge I'm still working on, to be very honest with you. And so these are the two major challenges. The main one is expansion because you need to do a lot in this part of the world to expand. Sometimes you get the order, you might get others will come in, and meeting the demand becomes a challenge, okay? Because you would need to gather so much resources yourself to meet that demand, and that
Okay.
is a huge challenge. Yeah.
That's a very insightful one. You've talked about access to finance, and you specifically talked about finance in terms of loan capital, or what do you call it, debt. Debt capital, that which you have to pay back, and the fact that the exchange rates are severe in many parts of Africa, which is a reality that we are facing. And we all know that there are bigger macroeconomic factors that determine the policy rates and all sorts of things that now trickle down to how much a bank wants to charge you for debt. It will be interesting that to know that while this is the case, banks are making a lot of money in Nigeria, for example. So let me switch over to, I think Tobi will be back with us soon. Let me switch over to Victor and ask you in this context. What do you think about this matter of scale? Have you had orders from outside the country or orders from somewhere, and because you needed to pump in a lot of money, because you needed to do a lot, it was difficult for you to fulfill that order? Let me hear about that, Victor. Please unmute and share that with us.
Yes, sir. Okay, yes, I have had such experiences. You know, first of all, it was even a challenge advertising reaching the Western world, reaching that market. But after having it, you know, getting the order, trying to make it to the right quality, sourcing for raw materials. There are a lot of raw materials that we use that we may need to source abroad. The cost of getting it down, production, you know, power has been a bit of an issue, although it's beginning to improve nowadays. You know, before you might not have electricity power for out of the 24 hours of the day, you might have sometimes maximum of 3 to 4 hours in a day. So you have to consider getting fuel, servicing your generator, you know, also health pollution, and then some other things, even transportation, getting the things back, sourcing the raw materials into the country, then also trying to export it there again. The cost of all of these factors, cost of delivery, cost of packaging, getting good packaging for the products that will meet up the standard that they expect abroad. In Nigeria, we could just package, okay, based on this is where it's going to. But some fragile pieces, like art pieces that are fragile, it needs proper packaging. You cannot just send it as if you're sending it within the state. Some of them have to go overseas, go through ship or courier service, and in the means to transport the thing, some of them could get damaged. So proper packaging, and then getting good source of power to even produce in the first place, if in terms of garments or some other parts. So those are some of the challenges that I've faced.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And I like the aspect of packaging that you mentioned, particularly, and the fact that if it's going to go far, it has to go properly packaged, both from a branding perspective and from a safety perspective. Yeah. I remember one of the clients I had, she was doing honey, and she was ordering her packaging from China. So I knew that could not have been profitable, right? To order, plastic bottles, well-made plastic bottles, all the way from China, package the honey here, and then try to sell them. When you try to sell them, the cost of packaging, the cost of logistics is a huge chunk, and you wonder whether you can actually make a profit. So let me ask the question that I was putting to her, because I knew about Tetra Pak. I knew about the fact that there are a few people around Africa who are able, if not doing them already, able to do some of these packages. So let me ask you, to what extent have you investigated the ecosystem of art, so to speak, to determine, are there people who you can speak with locally to create the kind of packaging you need for your product?
Yes, there are a few people that can still give us at least up to 60-70% of the standard that is expected. Yeah, there are a few of them that that are, some of them are in Lagos. Some of them we go as far as getting them from Aba, Eastern Nigeria.
Okay.
So they can give us some of the kind of packaging that we want. But sometimes when you talk about durability and quality, I would, like I said, I would still rate it to 60 to 70%. I don't think we're there yet, because if you want to, for instance, order products from say some of these top brands like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and the rest, by the time they ship it, when you see it, even when you order phones, or if you want to delve into other kinds of product, not necessarily only fashion, by the time you see it, you know that, okay, there's nothing that can damage this product until it gets to the final consumers. So we're still trying to sell and source that locally, without having to look for sourcing it from China, like you said.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much. I want to appreciate you so much for sharing that. Sorry about that. All right. I want to appreciate you so much for sharing that. So you shared the fact that yes, some of them do exist, and I want to imagine that there is that dilemma of having to buy this packaging one at a time, right?
Yeah,
the economies of scale. Yeah, the economies of scale around it. So I want to switch over to Tobi and ask around that. In terms of demand, what is your experience with demand? I know that there are so many people doing beads in Nigeria and Africa generally. What would you have to say about how much people, even here in our nations, really want what you are selling? And does it make sense to invest more in packaging, to invest more in scaling out, to invest more in export and so forth? What's the demand looking like for you?
Okay, so for me, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So for me, I just didn't go into the regular bead making business. Like I said earlier, I've been able to design some other products from beads. I've been able to come up with new concepts from bead making, like event ticketing, which is not, you can't even see it anywhere in Nigeria. I'm the only one that started it. And we are even having an event next week Sunday, not this Sunday, next week Sunday, and it's ToBeads Creation that it's be defining that event. So the more than 1,000 people coming for that event, they are going to be beautified by ToBeads Creation. So the ticket bracelet they are wearing is not paper tags. They will be
Wow.
wearing, they'll be getting tags.
That is like
Be-
innovative
So,
to the level 10. Okay.
so, so that way I don't get to really struggle for the other um bead markets. Though I do a lot of that, I have customers for the regular bracelets, necklaces, earrings, and all. But my own new concepts, I have my customers for them, and I'm trying to actually build more. I put more of my strength and energy in that direction more than the regular bead making market. So that's why my own is kind of different. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So in other words, you are addressing the issue of demand by innovating and
Yes, sir.
innovating in the direction of need, because
Event.
obviously Africans like events. So
Yes.
instead of wearing a paper tag gain access to an event, just wear a bead. And one
Yes.
contract could get you maybe what, 300 people, 700 people,
Yes.
depending on what kind of that's absolutely amazing. So that I think that's food for thought here. That's food for thought. How do you innovate so that you distinguish yourself in the market and increase your level of demand? Thank you for sharing that as well. All right, so let me just recognize some in the audience as well. We've talked about some of the difficulties around access to finance for expansion, around demand, and around packaging, and around the fact that even though we are making something locally, several aspects of the life cycle of the logistics is still dependent on external countries, external powers, because they have the finance, they have the mechanisms, the logistic mechanisms. The supply chain is just dotted with external influence. And are there ways we can address that? That's something we want to think about. I'm going to ask Elvis to share a few thoughts based on what we've heard so far, but let me just recognize a few people in the audience first. I think you've got a partner that's going to Brago. Ama at Akwete says, it will be a great privilege to partner with you all in your next upcoming project as an NGO, Nueke Foundation, to help nurture young girls in the field of arts. So those of us who are doing arts, there's a partner, reaching out to you on this platform right now. Kathy Smile says, finally in. Peter says, watching from Nigeria. Peter Adigwe. Yes, and there's that confirmation that we can hear you. So thank you very much, audience. Do share the link. Invite someone to join the conversation. We're going to dig a little further in, right? We're going to dig a little further in. Now, typically, people make objections when we talk about buying locally made products. I remember when Kantanka, if you know Kantanka, I want you to put in the chat. Tell me what it is in the chat. Who knows Kantanka? Put in the chat what it is. Let me see whether anyone in the audience knows about Kantanka. Okay. Kantanka is actually a vehicle manufacturing company based in Ghana. Well, some people argue that it's an assembly company, but I think they give their designs to Koreans and they make it for them. They now assemble in Ghana. So I was speaking with one of my colleagues and asked him, would you buy a Kantanka car? And he gave me all sorts of reasons why not. Part of the reasons was second-hand value. People want a car that they can resell after a few years. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for sharing that. It's an automobile company. People want a car that they can, sell after a while. The next thing he told me was maintenance. How many people know how to fix, Kantanka cars, right? Then he told me about all sorts of stuff, all sorts of excuses. So people have objections. Objections like, is the quality good enough, right? Is the quality good enough? And that aspect of support, that aspect of, I can get it cheaper from China or from any other external country because of economies of scale. How do we respond to these objections? Have you experienced these objections, right? Have you experienced these objections, in terms of the demand for your product? Why are people not as enthusiastic about buying. Sometimes people even complain that the products are not even available. So you have not scaled, you're still like selling one-on-one based on order. You've not produced something that is 100 batch and shipped into the market. So let me come back to Tobi. Let me ask you that. What do you think about these objections? And what other objections have you heard about in terms of why people don't buy things made locally? Uh, yes, please go ahead.
Um, I've heard people say Nigeria or locally made products are not as quality, or they are not as quality as what they receive, what they get from out there, which is not true all the time. It's not true all the time. It's just like perception. I feel it's perception. The way the other people out there market their products, and all those, so they feel like it's better and all. But the people that actually patronize locally made products can testify to the fact that these products are good, they are durable, you know, and probably more original sometimes than what they get out there. But then for some of the entrepreneurs in Nigeria that are not making their products meet up to that quality standard, I would say they should try as much as possible to do so, to encourage more Nigerians to patronize them. That's what I have to say.
All right, thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. So the answer, the response you're giving us is, first of all, you are confident that you have the right quality of products. So, but there are some entrepreneurs who are not making as much effort as they should be making. That is good. So let's switch over to Bragg. What are your thoughts on this? And I know you wanted to also share your thoughts on the previous question. Please unmute. Yeah. Okay.
I think I'll just add it to what I'll be sharing right now.
Yeah.
Just as Toby said, it's a perception. Africans, we have this perception that most of the things that we make are inferior. That's very unfortunate. But it's the reverse. It's the reverse that is true. So be very straightforward. Now, when you go to our China malls, check the furniture in our China malls. Check the materials that have been used to produce these furnitures. It is just the finishing that looks like wood, but these are compressed paper that have been compressed together and has been given a finishing like wood. And we go there, we rush there, and we say we are buying furniture from China. Now, when you go to the roadside carpenter who produces furniture, he uses wood that we access from the bush, in our bush from Africa. And I tell you, that is 200% better than going to China Mall to buy furniture made of PDF or compressed paper. Why do we buy compressed paper? You see, when we were children, check the furniture that our parents used. They might still be using those furnitures in our homes. When you go to our villages, they might still be using those furnitures, whether it's a table, whether it's a stool. These are locally manufactured furnitures, and they are still durable. We are still using them. You go to the China malls and you buy these furnitures, and then they join them together. You come within they don't even last you a year or two, and they come apart. So it's just a perception that we need to get away from, that our things are inferior. Believe me, whatever we saw, they come here to source for raw materials, they take it there, and then I don't know why we are having that. And then we think we are buying something quality from there. I think it's the mindset. It's sad, but we have to change that mindset, because the best is coming from Africa. We have all the raw materials, and we have everything around us is art, right? And we have, God has blessed people who are working with their hands and they are creating stuff. So all we need to do is to encourage one another, embrace it, promote whatever we produce, to promote our local market. Once we all buy into it, we promote our local market. We promote our culture, isn't it? We promote our culture. Can you imagine if we all drink from the calabash instead of drinking from plastic cups? The plastic cups, all these seepages, and then all this. Look at our mothers and our grandfathers. Look at their expected life. This thing. Some are 90 years, 80 years. Now some of us 40, 50, and we are dying. We are using plastic cups. Why don't let's embrace what we have? Okay, we promote our culture, and then whatever we drink from, if we are drinking from a coconut shell, whether we are drinking from a calabash, whether we are drinking from an earthenware pot, it is fresher, it is healthier, it will make us live longer than patronizing what is foreign to us. Let's embrace what we have. Let's not create this thing about this packaging that Toby was talking about. A client who is also a colleague at work engaged me to the coconut wear is something I have just started, and I'm so excited about the idea. She told me, Millicent, she produces soap, okay, and you know what you call the black soap, and instead of putting it in plastics, this lady told me, Millicent, I want to try this. Give me coconut shells. I want to package them in these coconut shells. And believe I said this is a good idea, because at the end of the day, if someone buys this black soap, the person will never throw these coconut shells away. It's going to be reused. So we need to find ways of getting away from. It's a mindset, I'm telling you. This thing about packaging and all that. We are Africans. Let's package as Africans. People will buy into it. They are Europeans. We are Africans. Let's package like Africans. We are not Europeans. Let's not copy. Why should we copy Europeans? If they package their whatever they produce this way, let's also package ours in this way. Let's package our stuff as Africans. Once we package as Africans, they'll buy it. Let's package as Africans, patronize as Africans, and the people will also appreciate it and buy it. Let's promote it. Let's buy it. Let's promote it. Let's buy it. And I think that's the way to do. Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, Birago just reminded me of a saying my mom used to share with us. She said, when the Lord Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself, or the scripture says, love your neighbor as yourself, it implies that you already love yourself. So you start from loving yourself for you to be able to extend the love to another person. So that's beautiful. But again, on the other side, someone argues, should we patronize merely because of patriotism? Or are there attractions in what we are doing that makes it reasonable for anyone in the world to buy what we are doing? I'll come back to Victor on that in a few minutes, but let me switch over to Elvis and ask you to share your thoughts so far. Share your thoughts. And let me ask those in the audience, please share the link. Please give us a like, a smile, a heart, whatever it is, so that this video also is pushed to other people. Elvis, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think the first thing I would like to say is that thank you for everyone who is on this platform, and thank you for being very courageous, because it really takes a lot of courage to be an entrepreneur, especially in within the African context, and of course all the challenges that the obvious challenges that all of us face. So thank you for taking the bold step, and I think that is this really super amazing, right? And I've listened to every one of us. We've talked about some of the challenges that we've had. Challenges about visibility. And I think that even the last few words from Birago was quite instructive and inspiring too. Talking about mindset. I think that's a very large extent. We just feel like anything that we bring, from overseas, automatically is better. It's kind of, I mean, 50-50, right? But I think that based on that, I would like to ask this question. I don't know that if it's a mindset, then what are the best ways that we can actually like help to have that paradigm shift, like have that mindset shift, because that mindset is definitely going to affect the way we do business and the level of demand. If we are going to move into the space where um, we are patronizing our products, right? How do we even, like help to like deal with that mindset? Because mindset will affect your mindset is everything. Perspective is everything. Perspective to a very large extent is reality. So it's a very good point. How do we problem solve that?
Yeah.
As we are looking at all the technical things about demand, supply, branding, and all the amazing things. How do we even kind of what are the practical things we can do about mindset? Do we have to be more creative? Do we have to, I don't know. So I'm just throwing this out there. Then I think
Wow.
maybe yeah. So another thing is that like in addressing the mindset, right? My question will be, how do we even scale? Because more often than not, when we hear entrepreneurs talk, we always hear like, okay, where what challenges are, what we are currently doing, but like how do you scale in the next 5 years? Are we still going to be doing business as sole proprietors, or are we going to build systems? Are we going to build systems so that we can build capacity to produce more? What are our thoughts about these things?
Wow. That's absolutely amazing. This is like food for thought. I'm gonna let us respond, starting from Victor, but after the break. But let me just take a few thoughts from the audience out there. Uchepu says, "What are you doing with training? Massive gain can come from that sphere." So I think there are two things training can do. Obviously, it will expand your reach. It will expand your reach, because if you are operating as one person who can do this, maybe if you have 10 other people who can do what you're doing, probably the mindset change can come, probably the access to bigger markets can come, maybe it can come. And this brings me to something, that a conversation I had with one of the those who make shea butter, package shea butter in Ghana. So my thought is that, look, shea butter is shea butter. Very few people do anything else with it aside from grinding it, making it into paste, and packaging it. Very few people perfume it or turn it into something else. So why do I have 50 different shea butter brands in Ghana? Why can't I have Ghana Share, for example, and then I have 50 people supplying to that one company that ships it to everywhere in the world and pays the people packing? Because when you look at the capabilities of some of these entrepreneurs, you find that some of them are too shy, they can't speak, they can't market, they don't know technology. So why don't you identify those who know technology, identify those who can speak in public, who can do the marketing, public affairs, identify those who know law, then form the company around them, and then supply the material. Let the product be properly packaged from a whole perspective. So that's one area. Collaboration. And Uche has talked about it. If there's knowledge that you have, and I keep saying that in Africa's context, part of the reason why we are where we are is because our knowledge was not transferred from generation to generation, right from thousands of years before. The growth of any civilization you see, whether it's Europe or Asia, occurred because knowledge was transferred from one generation to another at scale. So people wrote and published. They didn't just say, this is our family business, I'll tell my son. And after a while, my son doesn't think of it as modern. He leaves the whole thing. So we have secrets in medicine, secrets in nature, all sorts of secrets that never were documented as to how it actually works. And if I share some of them with you from my own place, you discover that these are like real stuff, that the reason why we are not leveraging them today is because we don't understand them, because nobody passed it on as a schooling, a documentation, something that can scale out by passing on. So thank you, Uche, for sharing that with us. That's so powerful. Why don't you just train more people? But Yeah. Jocelyn Giri says, wow, beadify, that's exciting. And she's referring to that beautiful idea of using beads as the entry, the ID for entry into events. That's going to go viral right now, global. Peter also says, well done, Toby, event beadification. So you've got a new term now. Before you had beadification, now you have a new one, event beadification. Please, you have to pay Peter something, all right? Innovation, uniqueness, and still meeting demand. Good job. Toby gives us a check for that. Billionaire mindset, let's grow together. He's saying hello, all right? Thank you very much for joining us today. All right, I'm going to take a short break, then I'm going to come back and ask us about patriotism versus a product that is worth selling. What do we think about that? Somebody says, why should I buy African product just because you want me to develop Africa? Can you give me a stronger reason? Can you give me stronger reasons to patronize African product rather than let's help our own, right? Everybody has their own, but how do we make our own competitive? So keep that in mind. And the second thing I wanted to draw to mind is this thing we've talked about, spreading knowledge. In your context, do you feel that if I share this knowledge with somebody else, they will, in quote, surpass me? Or are there aspects of your company's work that you're willing to share in order to create that ripple effect of development, of perception change, and so forth? So we'll be right back in a minute. Okay, so if you're just joining us, this is Iwineti Africa. The purpose of this platform is to showcase emerging entrepreneurs doing amazing things all over the continent. And today we're focusing on consumer goods and locally made products. We've been talking to 3 entrepreneurs and my dear co-host, who's taking over from me, on the subject of why go local. Why should we purchase locally made consumer goods? Why is it important for us? And we have a few questions more to deal with. We just talked about the fact that we're asking ourselves, buy local because you want to help Africa. Do we have stronger reasons aside from patriotism? Now let me turn to Victor. Please share your thoughts on that.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, I was talking about white sauce packaging from China. Now, if you sit back, relax, and think about it, not like their products are superior to ours. In fact, most of them, they source the raw materials from Africa. The difference in these things is they know what to turn it into. Now, I've had several experiences. First of all, just recently, I was trying to sell one of my garments and a shoe to a customer. So the first question I always get is, will this fabric you painted, will the paints come off? And then you need to see the way the client who held the shoe and was trying to twist the sole. And I'm sure if the person had seen a Gucci shoe, the person wouldn't be twisting the sole that way. So what they are trying to get is for us to convince them. I always tell people, do you think those kimono that you see from Japan, if you watch some videos on YouTube, you'll be amazed that people sit down, use their brushes, and paint all those arts on the kimonos they wear, hand painted, using the same paint that I use, even if I have to import it. People just see it and then they feel that since it's coming from China, it's coming from Japan, it's coming from India, it is superior. No, it's not so. It has always been our mindset. Now let me move to pharmaceutical. Put paracetamol on the table and put agbo on the table. If a large percentage of people will go for the paracetamol against the agbo, what is the difference? The agbo is just the local herbs and plants that if you boil and you don't have to heat it up in the night or the next morning, it goes bad. But the paracetamol, they have been able to discover that those same herbs that they got, they've been able to package it, get it into the product in such a way that if you leave paracetamol on your shelf, for at least the expiry date of paracetamol should be give or take 2 to 3 years. But I don't think agbo can outlast 3 days if it's not heated. So why don't we look for how we are able to get the raw materials from point A, get it into finished product that is, one, durable, two, it has the right effect. Because now agbo, how do we measure and know that it is 2 cups of agbo or 3 cups of agbo I will drink to get that headache or that fever off? But at least they have been able to convince us that it is 2 tablets taken 2 times or 3 times daily that will get your fever off. So bring that down to every other product. How have we been able to push making the sole of this shoe? Not that when you're walking and then maybe it rains and then you walk on the road, a little water touches the sole of your footwear and then the thing just goes off and the person is embarrassed while coming back. Meanwhile, in the West, they've been able to, instead of complaining and trying to see these people are not patronizing us, I think we should channel our energy into okay, this is point A. How do I get it to point B? How do I make better soles? How do I get better fabric paints that if I paint and you put it inside your washing machine, it doesn't peel off? How do I paint on garments that the sun doesn't fade it off after washing, you dry it off? You know, when we're able to convince people and then get also that mindset, we're talking about mindset that, Houston, it's just a mindset that I don't know where it generated from. Maybe they have made Africans feel inferior, maybe from the time of slavery. It has so degenerated that, you know, sometimes you walk and you want to get to the bank to do transactions now. I was at the bank close to my house some time ago, and then everybody was outside the bank. I was using the ATM, but some people wanted to go into the bank. Some people were queuing up, and then suddenly this white lady, I can't tell which country she's from, but because her skin is white, it was even our security men that were ushering them in. Meanwhile, they were having other people wait there. So I was now saying to myself, why can't that lady wait with the others and wait her turn? Because our mindset have been shifted to believe that they are superior to us. Now, I was talking about packaging. If I have to package, Mrs. Millicent was talking about doing coconuts, using coconut shell to package. Yes, beautiful, fine, excellent. There are ways that you could use, even if I could use coconut shell and create art in a very few minutes, and it's there. But how will doing that, what is the durability? How long can that last? How do we generate our energy into making sure that, okay, if I use, for instance, palm leaves as my packaging for shea butter, if people don't buy that shea butter in the next 1 week, what happens to that palm leaf, which is which is an innovative way to do it? We're talking about durability. It has gone beyond patriotism, because I want to patronize made in Nigeria. And made in Nigeria seems not to be giving me the durability. You know, now times and seasons have changed. Things are very, very expensive. If I want to buy a pair of shoes now, for instance, I would rather buy a pair of shoes that will last me for at least 1 to 2 years, rather than buy a pair of shoes that if it rains today, I walk from my house to the bus stop, I come back looking for slippers to wear. You know, so, you know, I think we should shift our mindset to how to make the packaging, the products rather, apart from packaging, the products, 1, durable, 2, effective. If I'm buying a garment and this thing is this garment, I want to wear it for a particular period of time, what will I use to make sure that it doesn't, the thread doesn't start losing, the paint doesn't wash off and all? You know, I went for an exhibition, and then there was this Chinese lady. She came to my stand. Every other person were looking, wow, fantastic art. I love your painting. I love what you do. The lady picked the garments, turned it inside out. What she was looking at was the finishing, the stitch, how the thing was finished. You know, sometimes you can go on the road and then after wearing the shirt twice, the button comes off. You know, let us concentrate and put our energy into improving the quality. Then you can now say patronize made in Nigeria or made in Africa, as the case may be. Patronize African, wear Africa, do Africa. You know, these people, they have a funny way, like they know the Western world. When I say you people, they're these people rather. They have a funny way of, I don't know whether I should call it foresight. A few years ago, the movie Black Panther came out. Look at the way they sold our own Africa to us. And meanwhile, we Africans, we are not seeing Africa in that light. Everybody is seeing some. I've seen interviews where you ask foreign students, what is Africa? They feel we are still climbing trees and we are still tying leaf over our this thing. Africa has gone beyond that. There's so much to do beyond. Okay, let us use the thing and then sell our own. Our own can be an improved, better version of our own. Our own doesn't have to be just use calabash and then this thing. Number one, think about, okay, I have tried in one of my exhibitions several years ago, I made cups out of coconut shell and then this thing. Think about how you're going to wash, how you're going to store, how you're going to maintain. Maintenance is another very major key when it comes to production. It's not about, oh, we have it, it's fantastic, wow, it's beautiful, it's calabash, it's this thing. How do you maintain a calabash plate, a calabash cup? What can be added to it? How do we do the finishing? What can make this calabash cup durable, that if I buy it today, I can use it to drink tea, I can use it to drink palm wine, I can use it to take my beverage easily without having adverse effects on the health as against plastic. Because plastic is one of the major problems in the ecosystem now. How do we get from point A and point B? Then I don't know if I should talk about the training part, or maybe we'll get to that so that we don't deviate.
So I'll come back to you in a few minutes. And we'll talk about the training. Beautifully said. I think one of the key things you've touched on in your delivery was research. Every endeavor in this world starts with, I used to say that industry is always ahead of academia, which means that people discover things, build things, and then the academics begin to study them and look at ways of improving. Part of our problem is our need for a structured academia in our part of the world that takes what people are discovering from creativity and moves it in such a way that we can standardize, we can escalate, we can extend the impact. So you've spoken a lot about research in terms of what we are doing. And it brings me to a few stories, right, that I've gotten in the past. First of all, you've talked about quality, you've talked about perception. I know that there was a Facebook video I saw where the Chinese, or was it the Indonesians, were creating plates out of banana leaves. Everybody knows that we've been using some kind of leaf or the other to package moi moi, oba, all sorts of food in our part of the world. But these guys made it to very beautiful looking plates that are used as plates in restaurants. And so it becomes a selling point, a tourist selling point. We can use banana leaf to serve you, and it has economic value. I've also had the story of, I used to use a lot of black soap, Dudu Oshun. There was this old black soap called Dudu Oshun, which came before Z soap, before all the black soaps started emerging. Back in school, one of my colleagues in school saw it and said, why does it have to be black? Why can't they put something to make it nice looking? You know, that is also that aspect of perception. A black soap looks like it's not clean. You know, having a black soap looks like it's not clean to some people. So that is part of perception, right? So I appreciate that those thoughts you're sharing. We need to research, and the research comes to how will people perceive what we are selling? Because it's very important. The customer is king, right? It's also, how do we make the product more durable, like you said? How do we make it, give it capacity to attract a very large market? Yeah, billionaire mindset says research is very important. Thank you, Elizabeth, for joining us. Elizabeth Boateng here, the Tech VA. I help entrepreneurs and career professionals with their marketing and admin tasks so they can focus on the core of their job. We're going to be wrapping up soon. Let's also acknowledge Amma, who says perception is very important when it comes to business, especially business coming from Africa. So I believe as a people, we need to create a new marketing strategy to bring down or do away with negative perception about African businesses. By making our products due for purpose, fit for purpose, durable, and attractive. Also, we must invest in digital advertisement. We shouldn't leave things to chance. We must be deliberate. Thank you very much. Be deliberate because I keep giving the example that the sodas, the mineral, the soft drinks, they push themselves at you every single day, even though you don't buy every single day. So we must be deliberate about that. Thank you so much. We're going to wrap up soon. We're going to just come back to, I'm going to come back to Victor to talk about his concept of training. But let me go to Tobi and ask about from here on now, what do you think we can do better? What would you do in your own space better? What would you want someone out there to take away from this conversation? How would you convince or tell the audience that we need to buy what we make? And now that I mentioned the audience, please give us a like, a heart, a share, and let this go further. Tobi, please share with us your final thoughts.
Okay, so I will take a cue from what Mr. Victor shared with us earlier when he was telling other entrepreneurs in Nigeria and Africa at large to make sure as much as possible that their products are original, are durable, to encourage more of our people to patronize them, because we don't expect them to get things that don't last, that is not it's not worth the money they are paying for. So let us work more on durability, research more on materials, source for more materials that will create more durable products. And when we do that, I'm sure more Nigerians would be encouraged to patronize us. Then, secondly, when they patronize us, I feel the economy would be boosted more. There will be a boost in the economy. There will be more job opportunities for locals, because a lot of people are traveling out there now. They are going for greener pastures because they feel they would be better off abroad. But if the Nigerian economy is boosted, when we were able to patronize our locally made products, the economy is boosted and more people get jobs. And I don't think a lot of people will be traveling out as such. And I think people will have more confidence in staying here and living their lives here. And can you please repeat the last question you asked, sir?
All right, I was talking about your perception on training, and then yeah.
Okay, for training, some of us have ventured into that. And like someone mentioned in the comments, it's a really good way to get yourself out there, to get more people to know about your brand. That's the truth. And I would encourage more entrepreneurs to go more into training and getting their brands out there. But I feel like some people, their businesses are not yet grounded. So they feel like it's not yet time for them to train people or get more people aware or into their their little
Their
secrets.
space, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just feel some people, some entrepreneurs, they feel they need to build more capacity before they can train more people. But I think don't launch out in your little way. I don't think there's a way you can get bigger actually. So even if you don't want to let all your secrets or all your ideas just launch out in a little way, put together a little training on a part of your business. Then I think, because recently someone chatted me up and asked that they would be interested in learning a thing or two. So right now I'm actually trying to put together a training on bead making, on an aspect of bead making. So
Okay.
yes, I would advise other entrepreneurs to think of doing something like that. Even if you don't want to launch out fully like that, just pick an aspect of your brand and just put something out there. I'm very sure a lot of people will be interested, and that will actually um,
Give you
make your,
visibility.
yeah, will give you more visibility. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Toby. Awesome. So let's go back to Brago. Your final thoughts. What are we taking away from here today? What are you taking away? What would you like the audience to take away?
Okay, so I think before I start, I just want to address something that Victor mentioned.
Of
You
course.
know, we have been talking about quality, and we've been talking about finishing. You know, he mentioned something about, I think he once tried coconut and he had issues, but I am doing the same thing and it's working. Why? Probably is because of the kind of finishing. So there are audiences who are watching who are using my products, coconut jars, cups, spoons, and what have you. They've been using for some time and they are not having any issues. Why? Because I have done the research into how to finish it, and so you can use it for years. Okay, and so what I'll add to that is that let's support our locally manufactured products, because when we do that, we support our local economy. I've put down some points here.
Yeah, go ahead.
We preserve our culture, okay, as Africans, because you know when these white people come here, before they go back, they go to our art centers and buy souvenirs. They buy souvenirs that we've made. They go to our art center. If they find something that Toby has done there, they'll buy, take it back and share it. If they find something that Victor has done, they'll buy it. If they find something I have done, why? Because they love what we do. So at the end of the day, it is cultural preservation. They want to show to their people that they came to Ghana. So let's keep doing what we do because we preserve our culture. And then what we do is fresher because we use locally acquired raw materials. Okay, so let me limit it to my space. Let's say I get some timber or lumber. It is fresh. Okay, it is healthier. It is not something processed. So let's support it. And then the environmental benefits of it. The environmental benefits of it. Now they are talking about global warming and all that. Let's limit ourselves to what we do and do better. And then because what you do is environmentally friendly. So let's continue. And then what we also do is very unique and diverse. As Africans, let's preserve our culture. Whatever we do as artists is sort of projecting us, is projecting our culture, and is projecting our uniqueness as a people. And then the last thing is that when we do that, we support each other. We support local businesses. So let's continue doing what you do, and then we'll also be supporting local businesses. So that's the few that I have to say.
Beautiful. That is absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, we have a lot to give. And I think that personally, we have an advantage. And that's why we focus on consumer goods, because we have an advantage there. We have an advantage in consumer goods, things that because they're in many cases, foods are richer, clothing is unique, and so forth. Artwork is special. We have an advantage in tourism. We have an advantage in tourism as well, and in one or two other areas. So it always makes sense to focus your energy in the areas of your competitive advantage, right? And then grow from there. And I think use also produces improvement, right? Use produces improvement. So if we're able to gain trust as producers and get the feedback that comes from the market, probably what we did today, we can do a better one tomorrow. And that is how China grew over 30 years, learning from the West, producing, getting feedback from the market and continuously improving. Thank you so much for that. So let me turn also to Victor to ask for final words before I turn back to Elvis. Victor, talk about the training and then your final thoughts. Please unmute. Yeah. Yeah, please unmute. Yeah.
Yes. My idea and concept about training is, you know, how we learn the alphabet in preschool, and the teacher teaches us how to write from A to Z. But all of us now find our uniqueness in our handwriting. That is the concept I bring into training. You can teach a lot of people about your craft without necessarily without them necessarily taking you out of the market. If you know your onions, you know, you teach them, and then they begin to diversify. They begin to bring out their own aspects that they like to focus on. Like for me, my art is multidimensional. I think there's practically no form of art that I cannot do. But I narrow it down to trainings, and I train people in different aspects. It's very, very rare to see people that want to do all forms of art and specialize in all forms of art. So for me, it's not a matter of competition. It's a matter of the learning process. And you know, one good thing about teaching and training, you as a trainer, the more you train people, the better you become at it. You start getting improved in it. When you start to see people, when you teach them A by themselves, they learn C, D, E. You teach them F, they go G, on like that. You know, when you now see their own different way, the way they say things, and why I even like to train a lot of young people and Gen Zs, the way they see art is not the way we used to. There are a lot of technologies, there are a lot of improvement, there are a lot of innovations that have come into art and creativity. And you know, from my generation, it wasn't so. And you know, the more you teach these people, the more you learn from them. That is one good part about teaching and training. When you begin to talk about it, the more it's like, you know, a recurring intuition, something that you get to hear yourself. When you speak things into your own ear, it goes to your subconscious. The better you get at it. You're training them, they're giving you their own knowledge, they're giving you their own ideas, they're giving you their own perceptions to these things. So it's training also helps me to keep abreast with what is happening, especially training, not only training people, also training myself, checking out what my contemporaries are doing in China, what they are doing in India, what they are doing in South Africa, what they are doing in Ghana, what they are doing in Europe, what they are doing in America. All of this helps me to keep abreast. And you know what, I always tell myself, what I do in January, if you come to my studio in June, you shouldn't be seeing those same things being done like that. I try to do quarterly review and improvements on things. So that is those are some of the advantages of training, you know. And then my last word for the training is, for the session is, promote Africa, do your research, learn, buy Africa, sell Africa. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Victor. That is absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. The knowledge has to go around as well. So let me, before I share also my thoughts, I want to thank you in the audience, those who have stuck with us for the past almost 1.5 hours. It's been an interesting conversation, and I hope you are picking up a lot. If you're picking up a lot, just in the comments, I'd like you to drop a thought, drop something that you're taking away from here. Maybe tag someone, maybe thank someone in the studio for being here today. Elvis, let's hear your thoughts, final thoughts for the session.
Yeah, so this, I think the first thing I would like to say is that this has been a very rich conversation, you know, and final thoughts, I would say that for emerging entrepreneurs, it would be great if we could introduce a feedback mechanism, you know, in our business, right? You know, and don't just operate the business from, okay, the producer to the consumer, but find a way to make the consumer a part of the production process by constantly getting feedback from them and asking them, okay, how can we improve this? Okay, what are the different ways that you would love this shoe to look like? Okay, this artwork that you bought from me, right? Like, are there different ways that you would like it to appear, these beats that you bought, thank you for the patronage. Do you think that there could be a way to do it, so that way the consumer feels like they're also part of the production process, and it's a feedback mechanism for you, so you're constantly improving. And I think that and I would like to also say that the Western world, or the great countries out there that we compare ourselves with, have come a long way. So let's also give ourselves the opportunity to also embark on this journey, of constant improvement, and we'll definitely get there. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Elvis. Continuous improvement. If you cannot afford research organizations, at least you can afford to have your customers be your research feedback. So I'm going to wrap up the conversation by talking about collaboration in various ways. I've earlier in the session, if you came in late, you may want to rewatch the video. I talked about collaboration by aggregation. And I gave the example of shea butter in Ghana, collaboration by aggregation, bringing things together. Aggregation could be one product coming together. Aggregation could be organizing events together. Most of those who are in the show today are art-related work. It could be an organizing an event. Amma just offered herself to collaborate with you through her foundation. It could be organizing sales events together. Aggregation could be organizing shipping, logistics together, and say, okay, instead of just me trying to ship my small set of goods, can I aggregate it with others and then make it an export product going to the same destination? Another form of collaboration could be collaboration by barter, exchanging barter. Now, you've been trying to sell your products for money. How about Victor says, I'm going to send you 3 pieces of art done clothing. I'm going to send it to Ghana, to Birago. And I want her to send me at the same time maybe 3 pieces of site tools of the same value, of the same monetary value. That way you're not looking for someone to pay you cash. You're exchanging value in barter, and maybe there's a market for site tools in Nigeria, and there's a market in Ghana for those clothing that you're making. So it's a kind of collaboration by barter. And we are also collaborating here through marketing efforts. Yeah, of course, Toby. So when I was talking to Toby earlier, she asked, so we're going to have 3 people on the same show? I said, yes. The reason is those who want to see Toby on the show will also see Birago. Those who want to see Victor will also see Toby, and so forth, right? So we're collaborating in terms of even marketing. Today, these days, everybody wants to have their own platform, even though not everybody is as skilled in managing a platform as other people. So you have to leverage on the skills of others, on the capacity and the capabilities of others to drive your own vision. All right, so I'm just going to give a free advert slot away. Our advert slots are not always free, but I'm going to give one free away to Toby to talk about the event that is coming up. Toby, go ahead.
Hey, hello everyone. So I mentioned before that we're having an event next week, and ToBeads Creation would be define everyone for the event. So I'm putting out here now for other entrepreneurs. Mr. Victor Bassey is going to be there to show off his artwork, paints, and all. So I'm inviting other entrepreneurs to come around. The event is Afro Optimism. So it's an event. This is the 2nd edition, the 3rd one actually, because we had one last year, but we began afresh this year, and this is the 2nd edition for this year. So Afro Optimism is an event where everyone comes around. On that particular day at the event, you're not going to be an adult. You're going to be a child. Just let out your inner child. You get to play. You get to use the bouncing castle, the swings, water guns, party packs, meet with new people, refreshments, all. You get to dance, you get to play football, you get to do everything. Just let out your inner child for just one day. That's what the event is about. So come around and have fun with your friends. You can check out Afro Optimism on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. So if you're an entrepreneur and you want to be a vendor or you want to partner with us, you can send a message to me later on Instagram and on Facebook, and I will fill you in on how you can be part of it. Thank you.
Wow, that is absolutely awesome. Afro Optimism, all the way from Nigeria. All right, I'm just going to get the flyer to push out there. Afro Optimism. I'm going to put it up right now. Yeah. So let me get that video clip. No, photo. All right. So those of us in the audience, please just let me know if you enjoy this. Please share your thoughts in the audience. I'm just looking at that. To see what your thoughts are. Do you have a congratulatory message for anyone in the audience? Please let me know. All right, let me see that. Tobi Akins, awesome. Yes. Peter says, appreciation to all the entrepreneurs on the platform. Continuous improvement is what I am taking away from this meeting. All right. So thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We're going to close out now. We're going to close out now. Let me just show up this in another way. I wanted to show it as a photo, but let me just show it here. This is Afro Optimism's event. Yeah. So if you see that banner, I believe that is what we're speaking about, Tobi.
Yes,
Am
that's
I
it.
correct? Awesome. So
Yes, sir.
Tobi will be there, Victor Bassey will be there, and it's on the 21st
Yes.
July 2024 at Lagos Preparatory School and Secondary School, Ikoyi. So if you can make it, be there, support locally made. And now that I've said that, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining us and for being there. Make sure other people get to see this video. Make sure we get to know about Tobi Akins, ToBeads and beadification and event beadification. Make sure other people get to know about Birago Tanoh's Birago Studios and Art Gallery. Amazing pieces of work in furniture and other areas. Make sure we get to know about Victor Bassey's amazing outfits. I actually got one. I got an outfit from Victor Bassey. It's amazing, amazing creativity. A whole female dress with artwork on top of it. That's beautiful. So let's keep supporting, promoting locally made products, and I will see you, or we will see you another time on Iwineti Africa. If you're yet to subscribe, please do, and we'll see you next time.